Hey there and welcome back. Today we are diving into the wild world of YieldMax ETFs. We're going to rank every single one from best to worst for the year 2025. By the time we're done, you'll know which funds blasted off and which ones belly flopped. Think of this as a detailed but fun mathematical adventure. After this video, you'll be able to impress your friends with random tickers like PLTY and CHPY. Stick with me. This is going to be a ride. Real quick, before we jump into the nitty-gritty, smash that like button and hit subscribe. Your support helps me keep producing these deep dives, and every click tells the mysterious YouTube algorithm that you enjoy educational content delivered with a bit of humor. All right, I am not a financial advisor, and this video is for education and entertainment only. Everything you hear today is based on data up to July 25th, 2025 from the Total Real Returns database and stock analysis. Past performance does not guarantee future results, and these products are volatile. In other words, don't mortgage the house because you seemed excited about SMCY. Do your own research and talk to a professional if you're thinking about investing in these things. Okay, seriousness over. Let's set the stage. YieldMax ETFs are single stock or thematic funds that generate income by selling short-dated call options on an underlying stock. Imagine taking a high-flying stock like Tesla or Palantir and slapping a covered call strategy on top of it. Each month, the fund sells options, pockets the premium, and passes those cash flows to you as a distribution. Sounds like free money, right? Well, not exactly. Because those call options cap your upside, if the stock takes off like a rocket, you don't get to enjoy the full ride. And let's not forget, the underlying stocks are often the most volatile names in the market. You're basically riding a roller coaster while juggling flaming torches. Plus, these funds are actively managed and charge fees north of 1%. You're paying for that juggling act. Here's how I built the rankings. First, I pulled year-to-date total return data with dividends reinvested from the Total Real Returns database through July 25th. Total return is crucial because these funds pay out huge distributions that drag down the share price. Looking at price alone would mislead you. Then I combined that with dividend yields, expense ratios, and one-year change data from stock analysis. I sorted everything by year-to-date total return and used the yields and fees as seasoning. Think of total return as the main dish and yield and fees as the side salad. Data. Now for the fun part. The leaderboard this year is dominated by new funds launched in 2025 that are tied to tech and crypto names. At the very top sits PLTY, the Palantir Option Income ETF, soaring roughly 67%. That's like your portfolio getting a double espresso shot. Next up, we've got YieldY, the Robinhood Option Income Fund, up about 64%. Who knew a broker could make you money by selling calls on itself? Number 3 is SMCY, the Super Microcomputer ETF, up around 45%, proving that server racks can be sexy. Following that is GDXY, which writes options on gold miners and has jumped around 39%. See, even gold can be cool again. Rounding out the top 10 are SNOY for Snowflake Sweek, MSTY for MicroStrategy, CHPY for China Tech, CVNY for Carvana, BABO for Alibaba, and NFLY for Netflix. They all log returns between roughly 30 and 35%. Notice a pattern? These are all tied to high growth or high volatility stocks. The more the underlying sways, the juicier the premiums the fund collects. So if your friends ever complain that a ticker looks like a cat walked across a keyboard, smile knowingly. It might be printing money, for now. All right, baby. Brace yourself, it's about to get messy. At the bottom of our list, we find BRKC. Yes, a YieldMax ETF on Berkshire Hathaway. Warren Buffett is probably shaking his head somewhere because this fund lost about 83% year-to-date. Lesson 1, call strategies on low volatility stocks can backfire spectacularly. Next is Fiat, the short Coinbase fund, down about 45%. Turns out crypto's comeback did not treat that one kindly. DIPS, which shorts NVIDIA, shed around 28%. Who in their right mind shorted the AI boom? AIY, an AI option income ETF, dropped about 26%. WNTR, the short microstrategy fund, slid 21.5%, and MRNY, based on Moderna, lost around 21%. Rounding out the horror show are TSY, yep, the original Tesla fund, still down roughly 17%, plus XYZY, MARO, and APLY with double-digit losses. Short bias products and older high-growth names just didn't keep up when the markets rallied. High yields couldn't make up for nose-diving prices. If you ever feel bad about a trade gone wrong, just remember someone marketed a product called dips. Let's zoom into our 6 standouts. First, PLTY writes calls on Palantir and delivered about a 67% return. Its distribution yield is around 59%, and the expense ratio is roughly 1.44%. Not too shabby. Hood, tied to Robinhood, combines a 64% gain with a 25% yield and a mere 0.99% fee. SMCY, my personal favorite, is based on Supermicro Computer and returned about 45%. It sports a mind-blowing 100% yield with a 0.99% fee. That means you're theoretically getting paid your entire investment back within a year while the stock also rises. GDXY focuses on gold miners and has returned about 39%. It yields around 46% and charges about 1.08%. SNOY, tied to Snowflake, gained roughly 34% and yields about 68% with a 1.04% fee. And finally, MSTY, based on MicroStrategy, climbed roughly 33% with a jaw-dropping 132% yield and a 0.99% fee. Remember, a yield that high means they're returning a lot of your own capital. But if you're comfortable with the ride, it can be exhilarating. Moderate and balanced performers. Not every YieldMax fund is a roller coaster. Several delivered single-digit gains along with respectable yields. FBY, based on Meta platforms, gained about 9.9% and yields roughly 70%. BIGY, tied to Bitcoin and Galaxy Digital, returned about 8.4% with a 21% yield. FIVY, covering the 5G and AI space, logged about 8.1% with a 20% yield, while RDTY, which targets risk-managed treasuries, gained about 7% with a yield around 18%. These names won't make you a fortune overnight, but they won't give you heartburn either. Other steady performers include GOOY for Google, LFGY for crypto and tech, FEAT for tech features, YMAG for the Magnificent Seven, RNTY for rental platforms, and DISO for Disney. They offered gains in the 3 to 6% range with yields between 5 and 40%. If you like the idea of a smoother ride with income on top, these might be your cup of tea. Underperformers and lessons. We've covered the bottom 10, but let's unpack why they lagged. Most of the biggest losers were short bias products like FIA dips, WNTR, and YQQQ. Markets rallied in 2025, so betting against them was like trying to stand still on a moving walkway. You just get carried away in the wrong direction. High growth names like MRNY and TSLY also struggled despite eye-popping yields. The key lesson here, a high distribution yield doesn't automatically translate into a positive total return. You might be collecting fat monthly payouts even as the share price tumbles. It's like eating the marshmallows off your hot chocolate while the mug tips over. Sure, it tastes sweet, but you're losing the bigger drink. Yield versus return. Check out the chart comparing year-to-date returns and dividend yields for a handful of funds. You'll see that some of the highest yields, like Fiat at nearly 300% and AIYY at about 123%, actually coincide with negative returns. Meanwhile, winners like PLTY, Hood, and SMCY offer solid returns with moderate to high yields. Moral of the story? Don't chase yield blindly. Ask yourself whether the underlying stock is rising or falling. A 100% yield on a stock that's down 50% still leaves you with less money. It's okay if that feels counterintuitive. That's why we're here. Risks and considerations. YieldMax ETFs aren't for the faint of heart. There are 4 big risks you need to understand. First, volatility. These underlying stocks are high beta, and the option strategies amplify their swings. You might wake up 10% richer or 20% poorer, and sometimes both within the same week. Second, fees. Expense ratios often exceed 1%, and those fees eat into your returns over time. Third, declining price. Monthly payouts come from option premiums, which can lead to share price erosion in sideways markets. Finally, yield variability. Yields fluctuate with market volatility. A fund boasting a 100% yield today could yield 30% tomorrow if volatility dries up. Diversify and size these positions carefully. If your entire portfolio is just a pile of YieldMax funds, you might as well put a roulette wheel on your desk. Conclusion and takeaways. So, what did we learn? 2025 was a story of extremes. New tech-focused funds like PLTY and Hood posted spectacular gains, while older or short-biased products like BRKC and Fiat imploded. High distribution yields are tempting, but are no substitute for total return. Always look at what's under the hood, the underlying stock, the expense ratio, and the risk that your distributions might simply be your own capital being returned. If you enjoyed this ranking, drop a comment and tell me which YieldMax ETF you're watching or holding. Are you a thrill seeker chasing volatility, or do you prefer the steady middle of the pack? Either way, I hope you've had fun on this journey through the weird and wonderful world of option income ETFs. Thanks for watching, and remember, investing should be profitable and enjoyable. See you in the next one.